2002, during the Kane and Triple H feud, when they had the Katie Vick storyline. Now, if you're not familiar with this, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see on the screen there that is Triple H dressed as Kane. And the story here is that Katie Vick, his former high school girlfriend, is dead in this, funeral home, and he is sort of passionately explaining how he feels to the corpse, and then it kind of escalates, and I mean, if you've not seen it, pour yourself a stiff drink. If you don't drink, start drinking. Is the only message I can give you to watch what Triple H is about to do in that Kane mask to Katie Vick. I mean, it's supposed to be a high school student, but she does not looks like Mae Young in a high school outfit. But yeah, I'm not going to go any further. We'll just pause.
No,
We'll
no.
pause. We'll pause that. We'll pause that.
We,
We're not
we
going to go
don't
any
need to
further.
go any further. It's a dummy. It's a dummy in the casket. Can we just point that out?
Yes, for anyone who was
It's not a
aware,
person.
it's not a person. It's most definitely not a high school student. It's most definitely not a
Yeah.
person.
It's a mannequin. Let's let Triple H off the hook there. We don't want a police investigation being launched as a result of these allegations. I mean, Triple H, he doesn't need that right now, does he?
I love the idea of Paul Levesque recovering at home and the door goes. I saw on Twitch that you were fondling a dead body and he's got an answer. Oh god. But it was a mannequin. Anyway, Finn, what the fuck were they thinking with this storyline?
I mean, I just don't know. I mean, has he ever been asked about this in an interview? He must have been, but I don't ever recall reading an interview with Paul Levesque about this angle, which was considered so offensive by Sky in the UK that they digitized the screen. They refused to show it. And it was one of those, was it September 2002? Was that, or October 2002, I think it was.
I think it was October 2002, yeah.
Yeah. I remember writing it up at the time in Power Slam, and it was one of those sort of moments where you thought, is it all over? Am I going to have to get a proper job? I've got, nearly, 11 years out of this job running Superstars Wrestling and Power Slam. I'm not ready. I'm still only, what was it at the time? I would have been like 32, 33. 33 I would have been. I was like, I don't want to have to do anything else. But seriously, it was one of those big moments, like when WCW went under, when ECW folded. It was one of those big moments, one of those milestones in wrestling history where you thought, they've lost it. They've lost their minds. This is so bad. This is so offensive. This is potentially, sponsors are going to flee. USA. Were they on USA or were they on Spike at the time?
They were on Spike. And then also, I mean, let's not forget the month before this, they did the Billy and Chuck wedding.
Oh,
where
yes.
they alienated the gay community as well. And then
exactly.
And then they had this the following. I mean, because it's like sometimes something happens in wrestling and you think, I get what they were going for. Like I get on paper that might be a good idea, but like who on paper thought that this was that trip? Because the other thing, let's not remember this completely killed Kane. Because up until this point, even though there was the story arc of Kane as a. He'd had the house burned when he was younger. He was burned. He had the mask on, and all of a sudden now, we're meant to believe that Kane was at high school. He had a driver's license. So was he cutting about the high school in the Kane mask, or was he?
Yeah.
And then but he had a girlfriend.
And that's it. Who was killed in a car accident, and which was blamed on them driving a car with a manual gearbox. That was the thing. Had it been an automatic car, Kenny, none of this would have happened.
I
know you've got an automatic car. And listen, I've got an automatic car as well. Had Kane been driving my car or your car, Katie Vick would never have occurred, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, wouldn't be crapping himself about receiving a knock on the door later this evening. Although that unfortunate, the regrettable incident in the funeral home. But I mean, we did an interview with Paul Bearer Power Slam in 2010, I believe it was, and he was still livid about it. So this was like, nearly 8 years later. I think it was early 2010. So it was over 7 years later, and we interviewed him about the Katie Vick storyline, the saga, the incident in the funeral home. And I mean, he wasn't laughing about it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, that was really stupid, wasn't it? He was furious, swearing, incandescent with rage, Kenny. I don't think that's an exaggeration to use that phrase. I believe one of our politicians used that phrase today in the House of Commons. But I mean, he was really angry because, as you said, it's scuppered, harpooned, set on fire the whole story of Kane and The Undertaker that he had been integral to. He was the one who walked Kane to the ring, as we know, told The Undertaker earlier in 1997, that he's alive, and then he makes the appearance at the end of the Bad Blood event and during the first Hell in a Cell match and cost The Undertaker the match to Shawn Michaels. So, I mean, it completely ruined everything that they created and which, the storyline that I think up until that point, Paul Bearer were really regarded as like the pinnacle of his career. And here they were just rewriting history for reasons that I, to this day, still can't explain. You're right. How could anyone imagine that angle that they filmed would be entertaining, would get anyone over, it was, who was it designed to entertain? I have no idea.
Finn, very rarely do I see you in the middle of a thought just sort of fall apart for a couple of seconds. That's what that storyline did. You were so bamboozled by it that you couldn't quite understand that this took place.
I couldn't. I have no idea who it was aimed at or what its purpose was. I mean, okay, yeah, it was designed to get Triple H over as a heel and presumably cause people to sympathise with Kane. But I mean, how was it going to achieve that? I mean, just think about it for more than a nanosecond. I mean, it was just a calamity of the highest order. But yeah, that Billy and Chuck. Remember, also we had the hot lesbian action angle. Remember with Eric Bischoff, 3 minute,
Yeah,
that
I mean,
whole period
will
there.
always there is something, and I can say this as a gay person, right? There is something that will always make me laugh on like a cold winter night when I'm depressed at the graphic of the two women, and it has the Raw logo and says the lesbians. It just they didn't even give them names. They were the lesbians. That's all they were to WWE. So, but it's weird that in the space,
Well,
like you say,
actually, Kenny, I believe they were like two local independent wrestlers, and they did them a favour by not putting names to them on TV.
Two local lesbians for. But I mean, you're right. I mean, in the space of a month, we've got HLA, we've got Billy and Chuck's wedding, where they'd had all this good press from GLAAD, the kind of gay, association who works for gay activism and gay rights. They scuppered that at the last second by basically going, "We're not gay," and then reminds you of the AJ Styles thing, the gay community. And then you've got the Kane thing, because remember, this is 5 years now of the Kane character, and he'd been great. He had a story that kind of made sense, and in October 2002, not the day the music died, the day the Kane character just never recovered.
Well, I mean, I think they did resurrect it in time, but it took a long time, didn't it? I mean, they had to unmask him, and then that was a tricky one. And I think it took many years before he was really regarded as a star again. And maybe actually right up until like 2012 when he formed the tag team with Daniel Bryan. Not Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, Kenny. But it took a long time before he was really relevant again. He was more like seen as a nostalgia act that people liked because they remembered him before Katie Vick. They thought, well, yeah, this guy contributed so much to WWF/E before the Triple H saga. But as I recall, just in conclusion, Kenny, I believe that WWE did recognize very quickly after that angle aired that they had screwed up big time. I do believe that they were like, hold on, we really misread our audience there. We really misjudged things. This was a massive, colossal error. So, you know, I mean, I can't believe it came to that. It's hard to believe that they had to screw up on that level of, with an angle of that was that calamitous for them to realize that they had gone in the wrong direction.